Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is exciting because it's the first of many to come, and I've decided I'm going to be doing a new segment called Bougie versus Budget. So basically what I'm going to be doing is taking two or more fragrances on a high end of a budget and a low end of a budget and their smell-alikes, and I'll tell you the differences between the two, whether or not I like them, what the longevity is, basically how the two of them compare, and they're fragrances that will give you a similar effect. They're not necessarily dupes of each other, so I'm gonna avoid doing a fragrance and then a full-on dupe of it. I'm gonna do fragrances from various brands that do smell alike. And so you've seen it here first. I've decided to do this because, as many of you guys know, I'm an interior designer and I'm constantly flipping through magazines, and I always see those pages in the home magazines where it's a high and a low, and like the high end of the budget and a low end of the budget, and achieving the look with different budgets. So I was like, hey, I can totally apply this to fragrances. So here I am now applying my industry knowledge to my passion, which is fragrances. And so today's two fragrances that I'm going to be comparing are Bois D'Argent from Christian Dior from the private collection, and from Van Cleef and Arpels, also from their private collection, but more affordable, the Bois D'Iris. So Bois D'Argent, very pricey. This bottle is over $400, and this little guy is, well, I say little, but it's 100 ml. This one is about $100. I got this one, I don't remember where I got it. I think on Amazon. But anyway, low end, high end. So the scent profile here is an iris, clean, woody scent. So both of them have this very nice, clean, woody iris, but the notes differ. And so let's look at the Bois D'Argent first. Out of the cap, you can smell the difference too. I'll focus on one. So let's start off by giving it a spray. Now, this one I've worn several times, so I'm familiar with the way that it develops on my skin. In that opening burst, you can really pick up on the cypress and the juniper, those fresh, evergreen, woody notes in the beginning, and then it does subside. I can smell the honey in this immediately. Even though the honey's in the base, I pick it up right away on my skin. It really does pull the honey, and on my skin I also get a lot of the myrrh. I get a lot of the amber woody notes, a little bit of leather. It's a very warm fragrance. It's very rich. It's a very clean iris, so there's a strong iris note, and it's all supported by this very nice clean woodiness, the myrrh, the honey. It's a very complex fragrance. It's absolutely beautiful. I do find that this pulls a little bit more masculine, and I think it's because of the resins and the myrrh and those woody notes like the cypress and the juniper. It does pull it more in a masculine direction. So overall, this one is more sweet, dense, and multifaceted than the Bois D'Iris, which I'm about to talk about. In terms of longevity, this one, I will be perfectly honest, on my skin is not the longest lasting. So on my skin, this one, I get 6 hours max, then it becomes a skin scent. So like maybe 5 to 6 hours of projection. It's not a massive projector on me. It doesn't fill a room. It's more closer to the skin on me. But I do really enjoy it. I think it's very beautiful, and it's a warm kind of woody iris scent. Not really irisy in the way that you find Dior. This is more woody. This is more like, more crisp in a way, which also is the case with the Bois D'Iris, which I have worn several times as well. And I'm just gonna give it a spray on paper. And this one is not as multifaceted as Bois D'Argent. So comparing the Bois D'Argent to the Bois D'Iris, I find that Bois D'Argent is very warm, whereas this one is a cooler scent. It's a lot more crisp. It's a lot more just like a clean, woody, not as multifaceted and not as deep. I've worn them both many times. So with the Bois D'Iris, I really like it, but I don't get that burst of cypress and juniper berries in the opening, where this one has that burst of juniper and cypress in the opening, and this almost like foresty vibe. This one doesn't have that. It doesn't have that sort of woodiness. This is more of a dry woodiness. It has driftwood instead, and the driftwood is like a salty, dry wood, exactly like driftwood that you would find on like the shore of a beach that has this like crisp dryness. That's the scent that I get in here. Yeah, just a nice dry woodiness. It's not as multifaceted, it's not as complex, but it's very beautiful and it's very easy to wear. So I would say this one is perfectly unisex. This one's a little bit more masculine leaning in my opinion, just because of the complexity of the woodiness. I don't want to say this is feminine leaning, but of the two, I would say this one's a little bit more feminine, a little bit more easier to wear from a feminine perspective. It also has the myrrh and it has the vanilla, but it doesn't have the honey. So because of the honey note, it doesn't have the same level of sweetness. It's a lot more of like almost clean laundry woodiness, just crisp, cool, dry, and not warm and enveloping and that like ambery warmth. It isn't there with this fragrance. Even though it does have a note of amber, it doesn't pull strong for me. It's more about the woodiness and the iris. The iris is a very cool iris, not super powdery. It's just cool. The iris note in both of these fragrances is powdery and it's a little bit more dry. It's not like a rich lipsticky smell. It does like have a little bit of that lipsticky smell, but because of the supporting notes, the myrrh in both of them, the woodiness, it's a really interesting blend. So I find them both really beautiful and I enjoy both of them a lot. I actually wore the Van Cleef & Arpels on Christmas and I loved it so much, and I wanted to go and get the Bois D'Argent and do a side-by-side comparison. And personally, I find this one easier to wear. This is actually also very beautiful, but I would recommend this more to like a masculine market if I had to pick one. Longevity wise, I do find that I get more longevity from the Bois D'Iris. I get about 8 hours, like I can smell it. It does pull quite woody on the skin. So what I will say is with this one, the way that it smells on paper isn't really the way that it develops on my skin. On paper, I get like almost equal amounts of iris, myrrh, vanilla, woodiness. Like it's a really nice blend, but on my skin, it does pull very woody. So I have to be in the mood for that. So if you're a woman and you're looking for a nice, clean, woody fragrance, not like a smoked wood, just like a dry, clean wood, this would be a great option. And it does have a little bit of sweetness. It's just more watery and cool, whereas this one is richer, denser, and warmer. And in terms of longevity, like Bois D'Iris wins for me on my skin. This one, I will be honest, even though it is a beautiful scent, is lacking in performance for me. It stays on the skin. Like I noticed that after about 6 hours, it does stay on the skin, but it doesn't project anymore. It just stays close to the skin. So I have to get really close in there to smell it. And then I do, but there's no more sillage at all left with it after 6 hours. Whereas this one's a little marginally better. Not by much. So you have to really decide if you're looking for a warm fragrance or a cool fragrance, and whether you're looking for something more masculine and feminine. Like I'm not really here to fully pick sides. I'm just trying to break it down for you as to the differences. They do both offer a very similar effect. They are extremely similar fragrances. I would say about 80% similar at least. It does depend how it develops on your skin. If you're a fan of a honey note and you like that warmth of honey, definitely Bois D'Argent is the one. This one has a note of sugar instead of honey. It's very mild. It's not really warm at all. This actually is more like leaning salty. I would say salty is more of the way that I would describe it. In terms of price point, this one's the Bougie. This one's super expensive. The 100 ml, I believe, is about 285 Canadian. The big 200 ml bottle, I think, was about I can't even remember. I think with tax, I paid 465 Canadian. For this one, 100 ml, you can find it on discount retailers online for around $100 or $120. So this one's significantly less expensive. Performance, they're about the same. 6 hours on this side, 8 hours on this side. The Bois D'Argent does pull a little bit more masculine, whereas the Bois D'Iris is a little bit more feminine. This one's warm, this one's cool. This one has the honey note that is very, very prominent. I really smell the honey note in here, whereas in here, no. And this one is noticeably better quality, multifaceted, richer, warmer, more complex. This one's still very good quality. There's no weird synthetic notes. There's nothing of that nature, but it's more simplified. And so I guess if you're just starting out like with niche fragrances, then try this one first, because you're not going to be shelling out the big bucks. You'll get a very good idea of what this one smells like, and just imagine more warmth and honey and like complexity. That's the comparison with the two. For me personally, like I said, I do prefer the Bois D'Iris just on my skin, but on men, I do prefer the Bois D'Argent. I actually think it's a really beautiful fragrance to wear in the winter. It's a great signature scent worthy fragrance because it can be worn across all seasons. It's not too heavy, it's not too dense. It is actually quite balanced. And the same thing with this one, the Bois D'Iris. It's appropriate across all seasons. So both of them are signature scent worthy fragrances. So I hope that this video was a helpful little bougie versus budget comparison. I hope that this gave you a good idea what each of these fragrances smell like, and now you know which one you'd be leaning towards if you were to buy either one of the two. And let me know if you guys are interested in seeing more bougie versus budget comparisons. I have a lot of them lined up. I'm gonna be trying to get at least one a month out for you, because I wanna make sure that I wear each of them thoroughly and I can get a good idea of the comparison between the two scents. Leave me a comment and let me know what the next bougie versus budget you wanna see, and maybe you'll see it here next. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Please subscribe if you guys haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.